Well, hi, everybody. My name is Dylan Fu. I am a senior partner and co-head of infrastructure at Apollo. I think over the course of this crisis, it's become increasingly clear that communications, ability to connect globally and around the world has become a critical part of, doing business and engaging with clients. And, I think this crisis has really only served to underpin that. And, when you look at some of the interesting data, communications data trends have been increasing significantly over the past 5-10 years anyway. But if you look really even at the start of kind of this year, I saw some interesting statistics where traffic in and around the New York area has just spiked 24% since January. And I think that's all to do with really this kind of new work from home environment we're living in. I think communications infrastructure really started coming out of its roots from probably towercos and tower investments probably a decade or so ago. And it's really moved rapidly, particularly in the last 3 to 5 years. We've seen more and more infrastructure competitors getting into the communications infrastructure space. And it probably started with more of the hard assets, so towers, fiber, data centers. And it's now starting to kind of evolve rapidly over the last, 1 to 2 years into what I would consider to be more kind of business to consumer type exposure, really kind of the front end of communications like fiber to the home, managed services, and other sort of, subsectors that perhaps have a little bit more technology risk as well in them. But it certainly has moved at a quick pace. Communications is really outperforming other sectors in the public equity markets at the moment as we speak. And I think that's probably testament as well to how investors are not just looking at the COVID-19 crisis, but probably the confidence they have in communications as a sector going forward. And I think there's every chance that that sort of new environment of working from home continues to some extent, maybe not to the extremes which we're seeing, and all of which will really serve to continue enhancing, I guess, the communications infrastructure benefits. In some cases, we've seen folks kind of question the validity of communications as an essential service, but I think the environment we're in today really kind of hits that home, is that, we could not operate as an economy, as a society, without direct communications. And now, from a risk perspective, like any sector, notwithstanding the fact that you have excellent tailwinds behind you and exceptional CAGRs, it's not without risk. And I think it's one of those sectors where you really have to have the sort of technical operation capability and the expertise to underwrite, and you have to make sure that your investment case is prudent and defensible, and you have to make sure you understand the risks. And I think in a space where we're seeing a lot more capital pile into it, you have to be careful that you're not coming into another bubble. And so for us, we sort of are very cautious around how we approach the space, as with any sector. And even though the tailwinds are behind you, there are still risks around that. And so I think that's important for investors to understand.